Good morning. It's sobering to consider Jesus' rebuke of the Laodiceans in Revelation 3:16 when he says, "Because thou art lukewarm and neither cold nor hot, I will spew thee out of my mouth." Our Lord is saying that the spiritual condition of this church essentially makes him feel so sick in the stomach that he will vomit them out unless things change. But before there's a cure, we need to understand the cause. And Jesus gives us the why for this illness in the first sentence of the very next verse. And it reads, "Because thou sayest, I am rich and increase with goods and have need of nothing." What this description shows us is that there's a lack of faith dependence on God in this church because they are rich and supply themselves with their own wealth and abilities. They may claim to have God's blessings, but really work out everything for themselves without seeking his will. Many people like to say, God helps those who help themselves, but the Bible tells us that the opposite is true. It says that every good gift and every perfect gift is from above and cometh down from the Father of lights. We remember that God loved us first and gave his Son to die for us while we were still in sin, and that we are but branches on the vine of Jesus, without whom we can do nothing. But we have become like spiritual Laodiceans in our time, no longer dependent on the Lord for daily bread, but laying up store from our riches for years to come, even as the man spoken of in Luke 12:16. And by example, we should consider what happened when Jesus told Peter and John to prepare for the Passover, as we read in Luke 22, and he sent Peter and John, saying, "Go and prepare us the Passover, that we may eat." And they said unto him, "Where wilt thou that we prepare?" So we see here that the disciples didn't just go and take care of it like most of us would do, but asked the Lord how he would have them to prepare. They had learned to be dependent on Christ, to seek him for every step, and to cherish God's will. 2 Corinthians 5:7 reminds us that we walk by faith and not sight. But when the church of the Laodiceans began to prosper, they began trusting in material blessings they could see, no longer needing to call upon God for their supply, thinking it was their own goodness that sustained them. But by knowing causes for this lukewarmness, the antidote comes plainly into view, which is by repenting and returning to the Lord in full dependence on him for everything, by remembering that salvation itself is a gift of God's mercy that we cannot earn, and that all good things come from God, but in our own flesh there is no good thing, and that the Lord isn't impressed with anything we may seemingly accomplish on our own, yet he takes pleasure in those who fear him and hope in his mercy. I urge you to read for yourself Revelation 3:17 and 18 to see God's view of those who are lukewarm and how he shows them to respond. May God bless you today.